Welcome to Fine, I'll Talk About It, the podcast where we say the quiet parts out loud. Real talk, straight to the point, no fake positivity. I'm your host, Danielle Young, and today I'm joined by Kayla McDonald. Kayla is a writer and food freedom guide who believes most eating challenges stem from boredom and creative repression, not a lack of willpower. And today we are going to be talking about Kayla's pivot from traditional health coaching to a unique somatic spicy based coaching method after her own struggles with binge eating and body image. Kayla, welcome to Fine, I'll Talk About It.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm super excited. This is going to be a fascinating topic. I know when we had spoken before, I'm like, yes, please talk about this because I think this is going to be awesome. And I want people to hear about this spicy approach you have come up with. But before we get into that, tell us a little bit about you and about your health journey. And then we'll get into the spicy stuff.
All right. So, my health journey started when I was 6 years old. So, I had some pretty troubling things happen at that age. And I began to eat food, sneak food, put on a lot of weight. So, binge eating was something I struggled with from a very young age. And then in my early 20s, I really got into fitness and it really helped me release a lot of stress and just made me feel better about myself. So I thought, perfect. I'm going to be a personal trainer. This is my dream job. And I am so excited and I'm going to help so many people. So I got the dream job, 2015, best shape of my life, felt super confident, felt like my binge eating days were behind me. Life was amazing. And as soon as I got that job, my binge eating resurfaced with a vengeance, which then led to putting on weight, which anywhere else wouldn't really matter. But as a personal trainer, your body's supposed to be your business card, unfortunately. So then there's the anxiety about that, the struggles with body image, the low self worth. Basically, it brought up all of my stuff. And I continue to struggle with it up and down for the entire 8 years I worked there. And I watched so many smart, capable, amazing clients also know what to do and still struggle with the self-sabotage, the body image stuff. So I went on this journey much deeper and started studying everything from eating psychology to parts work, NLP, trauma-informed coaching, dance alchemy. And I realized it goes so much deeper than willpower or macronutrient balance or hormones. There's so many other things at play. And now that's really the realm I work in is people have done the health coaching thing. It's not getting them exactly where they want to go. They still don't feel great about themselves. So now what? And that's where I come in.
Nice. So while you were coaching, I mean, what was the biggest problem that you saw with, you know, mindset and coaching and, all of, because like you said, people can go through this coaching process, but still be unhealthy. And, what was the biggest problem that you saw?
It's hard to pick just one. I think one
Top
is
five,
definitely okay, or maybe top 2 to
three.
3.
Okay.
Okay. So, number 1 is that people almost outsource their own body wisdom to a plan or a protocol or someone else instead of honoring what actually works for them. And you'll see this everywhere. Someone will do one plan and get a certain result, another person will have the opposite result. So, instead of getting people to turn more inwards and figuring out their unique way of approaching health and wellness and all these things, we kind of put people into boxes.
Mm. Yep.
And I think the other thing that is so prevalent is treating our bodies like something to be controlled versus something to be cooperated with. And that's going to have a host of different challenges on not just a mind level, but on a body level because they're so connected. And then I think there's a lot of all or nothing and perfectionism that can also seep into the industry as well.
Yeah. You want to kill a goal, add perfectionism to it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So when did you know that you needed to start your own, movement? or your own, I don't know, foundation?
It was in 2021, and I enrolled in a program called Inner Coach, which was a certification that really helped you help your clients when they knew what to do, but they weren't doing it. And this was where I learned about everything from parts work, NLP, subconscious rewiring. And as I was learning this, I got so excited because I realized this is what's going to help people when they've done all the other stuff and they're still not getting where they want to go. And I've seen that to be true in my own work. So I got very excited about this and decided I was going to start my own business. And at that point, my boss was like, "You've actually signed a non-compete clause. You can't do that for at least a year," which is fair. That's a very normal thing in the industry. So I took a year off to build doors. And it actually took me longer than a year to get all my stuff together. But I'm glad it took longer because it gave me a much more creative and fun way of approaching this than I might have otherwise had.
Yeah, so you're not metaphorically talking about doors. You're talking about actual real wooden doors. I just want to make that clear to anybody
Unfortunate
listening.
Unfortunately, they weren't even wooden, they were just, like, crappy MDF doors.
Got it. But
They
they're
weren't.
actual like doors.
Yes.
Got it. So, what was that journey like for you going from seeing all of this stuff happening in the traditional health coaching to building your own? How did that play into your own healing? I mean, did you find that you needed to heal before or like, not before you started your coaching method, but after the traditional coaching? Where did your healing come in to play there?
It was interesting because I was in amazing health before I started the personal training job. I left the personal training job and once again became the healthiest and happiest and most confident I'd ever been while leaving the health coaching industry. So I'm like, why? And then 2022 rolls around and I'm doing the building the health coaching business thing again. And again, my health plummeted. The binge eating came back almost worse than it had the first time. And I actually walked away again. And I was like, I would rather be healthy and happy building doors than unhealthy and miserable trying to pursue this business, even though I really wanted to help people. But if I wasn't healthy and happy myself, there's not much I can give to others. And I just felt like something was missing. And I continued to do my own inner work. I learned about dance alchemy, and it was actually doing my own dance alchemy in the morning that this very creative idea came to me. And this is where I began doing something that was very unconventional, not illegal, but maybe a little frowned upon. And it was the thing that helped me more than anything else. All of a sudden, I was not binge eating at all. No matter how sad I was, how angry I was, how stressed I was suddenly having the most fun I'd ever had with my fitness journey. And it felt easy. It didn't feel like a grind or like I was having to force myself to keep these promises I made to myself. And during that time, I was training for a half marathon. And for the first time, I broke the 2-hour barrier. And I had tried 13 other times over a 13-year period. And I was in awe. So I started to like look into why is this helping me so much when all of these other things didn't quite do it. And I realized that this process and this method I had created was actually based in parts work, NLP, somatics, subconscious rewiring. It was just a very playful and unconventional way of doing it.
Yeah, which sounds fun. I mean, playful sounds better to me than have to. If I have to go to the gym, if I have to work out, if I
Mhm.
have to watch what I eat, but if it's playful. So, I've never heard of dance alchemy. So can you just explain a little bit about that, like what that is for those of us who don't know what it is?
Yes. So it is hands down my favorite healing modality I've ever stumbled across.
Okay.
So it is a form of dance where you are releasing emotions, you're getting back into your body, you're stepping back into your power, and then you're expanding into the emotions you want to feel. So you go through all of the elements. You start with earth, where you're seated, you're breathing, you're connected to your body. And then you move into water, which is, more of your feminine embodiment, flowing songs that help you with that emotional release. And then you've got your fiery songs, which are honestly my favorite. So it's the stomping, the shaking, it's the getting back into your power. And then when you move into air, you start thinking about, what do you want to call in? What do you want to expand into? So it's almost like you're manifesting through dance, which is pretty magical. And then there's a
Yeah.
little meditation at the end.
Nice. Okay, that sounds really interesting. So tell us about your program, your spiciness program that you've come up with, and how that is helping your clients.
So this is a program called Food Freedom Fantasy, which takes a person's food freedom journey and turns it into a spicy book talk romantasy, basically, complete with sword crossing if they so choose. And that is something that really allows people to enjoy the journey and not just enjoy it, but actually even be like turned on by it. Because turn on is such an underrated thing for people to utilize in their journey. Because one of the things I found with a lot of traditional inner work was that it was like babysitting. Oh, there's my inner child. She's sad. I got to go give her a hug. And I love inner child work. It's so important. And also, it felt like babysitting. So, part of what we do in that modality is you create these like two hot guys who I call the Divine Daddies, and they help me reparent the inner
I love it.
children. And it's hilarious because my husband, I called them divine daddies from day one because they're divine masculine archetypes and they help with the inner child reparenting. But my husband groaned. He's like, "Can you not call it that? It's going to turn people off. I don't like it." And I'm like, "But I love it. And yes, it's going to turn off certain people, but it's not supposed to be for everybody."
Yeah. Yeah. And what a husband thing to say. Mine would
Yes,
have
for
said the
sure.
same thing. Like, why are you calling it that? Like, that's weird.
Yeah.
So, how did you come up with this concept of the two masculine archetypes? And can you walk us through just a little bit of that process? And how did you evolve this program?
All right. This is going to get a little wild.
Hey, I'm
So
here for it.
back in back in early 2024, I had already learned a little bit about the animus. And for anybody who doesn't know what that is, that's the masculine aspect of a female psyche. And it's a really powerful part to help them like achieve their goals and do the things. But in a lot of women, it can be a dickhead. It's like mean, it's over punishing. It like nothing's ever good enough. Like, oh, you achieved that goal. You don't even get a pat on the back. Go achieve another one. So I knew I had a very overbearing, mean inner animus at the time. So this program popped up in my email list and it was called True North. And one of the promises was that it would help you turn your negative animus into a loving daddy. And I
Okay.
was like, I don't think I've ever needed a program more than I needed that kind of a program. So I signed up for this program and started going through it. And meanwhile, I started having these recurring dreams. Unfortunately, they were about one of my coworkers. But this coworker in all of the dreams, we were like competing in Tough Mudder or just random things. So I realized this coworker who was my coworker, yes, but he actually represented this animus archetype in dreams. And that's the really important thing about dreams is even if you're dreaming about someone, you're not really necessarily dreaming about them. You're dreaming about some energetic qualities they have, which made me feel better about the fact that this was a recurring thing. So that started happening, and I realized, okay, this is work I'm being called to do. And I dove into like dream interpretation and dream work. And then those dreams kind of stopped. And I was like, perfect, I've done the work, I'm good. And then I started having recurring dreams about another coworker. I was like, oh my God, here we go again. Um, And it was interesting because the first coworker was, like, very fiery, very, like, pushy, very, like, "Get after it." And the second one was, like, really sweet and soft and playful. So very different energies, and then, of course, the dreams were very different. And at this time, I had been using ChatGPT to interpret my dreams because it actually gives you some really cool prompts and, like, helps you go pretty deep. So one
Interesting.
night yeah, so one night this was after I had had, like, a disagreement with my real biological dad. We'd been having some strange stuff happening, and I was pretty upset about it. So that night, I ate an entire pizza and a bag of crazy bread. And of course yeah. When I say, like, binge eating was a thing, I'm not just saying, like, I ate a second piece of cake, like, it was a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Emotional
so
eating. Yeah. It is a
totally.
thing.
Yes. So, the next morning, I think I had a dream about one of these 2 archetypes that kept showing up in dreams. And I was talking about how upset I was that I ate this pizza. And I knew, like, my inner child was just sad that daddy doesn't like her, doesn't love her, whatever. And she wanted to eat the pizza to not feel the feelings. So I asked ChatGPT, I'm like, can you write me a little scene where these 2 archetypes that keep showing up in my dream show up and, like, run interference and stop me from eating pizza? And of course, ChatGPT is like a butler, and he's like, certainly. And he writes this, like, scene where these 2 archetypes show up, and one of them's like, you don't want to eat that pizza because you'll be bloated in the morning and tired. And then the other one's like petting the inner child and being like, it's okay, your feelings matter. I know you're sad. And I was like, wow, that would actually be really helpful the next time I had a craving. Can I do that again the next time I want to eat all the things? So I started using this as something to help with my cravings, something to help me break through resistance when I didn't want to do a workout, something to help me navigate the ups and downs of life and just different emotions. And all of a sudden, like, everything got fun and easy, and I got results like I've never had ever. So that is the kind of cringe origin story of the Divine Daddies.
No, that's really interesting. And I mean, I know a lot of people look down on AI and Chat GPT and all that stuff. And I mean, that's a whole other conversation, but it can be used for stuff like this to be that creative voice, to give you those ideas and to spark that creative artistic spark. Yeah. So how did that turn into your program? I'm assuming that there's more to your program than the Divine Daddies.
Yes. So the program starts with my clients building their own set of divine daddies. And the idea is to have the archetypal energy of fire and challenge, and then also the comfort and safety. Because what you're doing here is healing a few major inner conflicts that people have. And that's the inner conflict between passion and safety, between dopamine and serotonin, between drive and strive versus soothing and contentment. And then also that inner battle between sometimes a person will take all the action, whether they feel like it or not, they'll override their emotions, but that'll often lead to burnout, binge eating, all the things. And then they just have to feel all the feelings for a while and take no action. So, what you're doing with these archetypes is getting them to work together so that you can not only make steady progress to your goals, but actually enjoy the process while you're doing it and be present and also honor your emotions, which are super important. So I take them through that process first. I will also note they don't have to be in love. They don't have to be hot for each other. That's an option, but not required. And also, if people want a male and female or 2 females, that's totally fine as well. Mine just happened to be 2 men based on what my subconscious threw at me. And then I take them through what I call the 5 power portals. And these are the places where people tend to get the most tripped up with their health journey. And we go through the 4 elements again, because of course, and there's also dance alchemy in every week's call. So the earth element is about shifting out of control and into cooperation, and then creating a collection of rituals that are going to support them over the long term and make consistency inevitable. Then we move into the element of water, which is that inner child work. It's letting all of your emotions be valid. And then the other important thing with emotions is once you're able and willing to feel all the things, you can also decide how you want to feel and get better at generating those emotions on demand. And of course, they're using their Divine Daddies the whole time to do this. The next part is so much fun, and this is about appetite. It's honoring a little bit of their villain era. So it's a little bit of shadow work, it's a little bit sexy. And then you take them into the element of fire, which is where they're using drama and play and theatrics to just really make this even more fun. And then from there, we go into the element of air, which is imagination. So they take all of their struggles they're having or different things they're going through, and they don't just see them as like these mundane struggles of, oh, I had this craving and I ate too much. It's how can we go deeper? How can we find like almost the divine assignments in these and then use what I call narrative alchemy to tell new stories about these different things? Yeah, that's the program.
Nice. So, this versus traditional coaching. uh, Do you ever get any pushback from traditional coaches saying things like, oh, this could never work, or any negativity from it?
Believe it or not, not yet, but I imagine it's coming because it is so unique. And yes, I am a coach and a guide, and I have learned many of the things, but I really believe more in getting people to get really good at coaching themselves by the end of the program. So a lot of the work I do is geared towards that instead of the traditional follow my 4-step protocol because it worked for me and I'm perfect. Not that every coach does that, but there is some of that in the
Yeah.
industry.
Yeah.
So I haven't gotten any pushback yet, but I imagine it'll come because everybody does have different approaches and different opinions.
Yeah. So, I'm sure you get some clients who are like, I don't know if I want to do this. How do you deal with them? How do you deal with the people who are like, I don't know about this. I mean, it sounds great, but I don't know if I can do this.
I think some of the biggest limitations are people think they have to be really creative or that it's just for writers or that it's just for artistic people. So I really talk to them about how with AI, really anybody can do this. That is another thing that some people say is that AI isn't for them, and that's totally okay.
Yeah.
There is ways to do it without it, but AI just makes it so much fun. And if you're trying to like write out all of your own scenes and your own dialogue all day, like you also have a life. So
Yeah.
AI really helps with the time constraints. And honestly, there are times when someone says they're interested and then disappears. And I'm like, cool. I know it's not for everybody. And I know it is unique. And I believe that it's going to continue to find the right people, the spicy fanfic writers, the ones who read a I Choose romance novel that comes out, and, the ones that think Dean and Castiel were like one of the best couples ever because, yes, absolutely.
I don't know who that is.
They're the ones from Supernatural. They have, like, one of the biggest fan bases of, like, all time, I think.
I've never seen it. I'm out of the loop, apparently. But I'll have to watch it.
It it was one of my favorites. It kind of, like, lost steam in the last couple seasons, but the first 5, 6, 7 were so good.
The people coming in, that want to work with you, what are you hearing? Is there a major, I don't want to say problem, but like the major thing that they want to work on or like where they want to be?
There's a few things that often come up. One is that I'll often hear something along the lines of, "I'm doing all the things and nothing is working." And what I intuit when I hear that is they're doing all the things from a place of suffering, from a place of should, from a place of obligation, and they hate that it's not working because it sucks and they just want to suffer long enough to get it over with. So that's one thing that a lot of people will say. A lot of other people will come in with a lot of limiting beliefs about this is the way I'm always going to be. I always go back to old habits.
Yeah.
So that's another really powerful place that I work with people. And a really great way you can do that is with creative storytelling. and getting them to start to tell these stories on a more consistent basis.
It's sort of like the stories are, well, and even with the archetypes, it's working with both. It's like rewiring your subconscious almost.
Exactly, yes, and it does that on such a beautiful level because it's again, it's taking those inner conflicts and healing them so that you get to have both at the same time, and that, like the other really important thing about these archetypes is whether they were inspired by your coworkers, your friends, or TV characters. They're aspects of your own psyche that just might happen to look like people you saw on TV or read about in a book. And what you're doing by working more closely with these parts is you're now bringing them out of the subconscious and making them conscious so you can work with them more closely. And that was why before I did this work, I had this inner critic. That's a huge part for a lot of people. It was very brutal, very mean, very unforgiving. And by giving him a name and a paddle that says consistency is foreplay and some leather pants and making him an actually like still someone who's going to like crack the whip and make you do the thing, but in a loving way, that really transformed that old part that caused a lot of pain beforehand. And that's one of the beautiful things about doing parts work in general is you can have this part that is causing you to like self-sabotage or seems to be like in the way, but there's actually no bad parts. There's just parts that have unhealed wounds or have been shoved so far in the basement that you don't actually get to use their gifts and their wisdom. So yes, it's definitely working on a subconscious level.
Nice. And that's important too. I think people tend to believe that it is willpower and willpower driven and it's the grind and you just have to suck it up and deal with it and learn to overcome, but that's not, I mean, come on. We know better now that it's more ingrained
Yes.
than that. So what is your advice for people who are in that mindset, who are like, no, it is willpower. I'm just going to grind until it goes away.
I would encourage them to look at how that's worked for them so far. Because if they're anything like me or most of the clients I've worked with, it works until it doesn't. And then you have the recurring cycles of self-sabotage and burnout. And you also just end up being really tired and unhappy if that's the only tool you have in your arsenal. And I'm not saying don't ever use willpower. It's actually a really cool muscle to build if you're already feeling good and well resourced in other areas. So that is what I would say to those people for sure.
Good advice. It's not all about the hustle. And, there's so much toxic culture that goes along with health coaching and with food and just the whole wellness industry. What are some of your thoughts on what you're seeing as far as being in this space and what you want people to know and understand rather than what they're actually seeing?
I would say that there's a lot of performative stuff going on behind the scenes, and not everything is what it seems on the surface. And to also be really cautious about anyone who's doing a lot of like, here's what I eat in a day, or here's my exact XYZ to get this exact result. So I would encourage people to be very mindful about that. And here's another thing that I would really encourage people to look at because the health coaching world is a bit of a mindful field now because you do have the people that still are very ingrained in diet culture and spot reducing and all of these things. And then, but now you have another camp over here where people are like, love your body no matter what and don't ever try to change it. And
Yeah.
it can be a very, it's almost a lose-lose situation. So in the health coaching world, I would look for people who really embrace a happy medium of where, yes, your body's already enough. Your body is magic. Your body is the reason you can have experiences and be creative and do all the things. And if you want more energy, more vitality, all those things often do come from changing how you're eating and how you're moving. But intention is everything. So are you doing it from a place of, I want to see how good I can feel? Or are you doing it from a place of, well, the BMI tables say this about me, so I got to fix that? So those are some things I would get people to look for.
Or Instagram says I should look like this. And if I follow this person, I'm going to look like them. And it's such a moneymaker that,
Definitely.
people are, and I feel like people are really vulnerable too when they're looking for health and wellness. And so many people are being taken advantage of by people out there who don't want to take a mind first approach. They just want to focus on body instead of mindset and the subconscious and dealing with all of those things that are going on in our bodies and our minds. Yeah, it's infuriating for someone who can look back and say, "This is what we're teaching people." I mean, what do you think of when you see people like that?
I don't get a lot of them on my feed because I'm very careful to like
Oh,
curate.
you
So
train the algorithm.
I have trained the out. It's actually interesting because I have two Instagrams. I have an old one that was from my personal training days that I hardly ever go on. And then I have my new one that's just like dance and spirituality and writing stuff. And I'm like, I like this one. So on the rare occasion I'll go back to my old Instagram, unless it's Joey Swole, who's like super funny.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
I like him.
I yes, but otherwise I I almost wanna give them the benefit of the doubt that they're trying to help. That's what I try to do, otherwise it would make me really angry. And
Yeah,
and I mean, depends on the person, but I try to give most of them the benefit of the doubt.
gotcha. Yeah, I think that's a good thing to do. Can't assume that everybody's malicious.
Yes.
So where are you at now on your healing journey?
So, I am currently in what I call another level, another devil season.
Like
So
that. Another level, another devil. All right, I'm hanging on to that one.
yes. So I learned that I can be super consistent, keep all the promises I make to myself when I'm at a steady full-time job, when I have routine and structure and money is coming in on a consistent basis and everything is kind of like this. And then here's where the another level, another devil comes in. Now I'm starting my own business. I'm starting to actually make social media posts about how sword crossing is a valid healing modality. Like,
So just explain what a sword crossing is real quick.
this is what people in, like, the "Why choose romance" space call anything that's, like, boy on boy romance. So I'll yeah, I'll leave the visual to anyone who wants to visualize that, and anyone who doesn't, I'm sorry. So
I'm
yeah,
here
there
to
was
censor.
exactly. So now I'm taking my own healing tools, including the Divine Daddies, to build the business while also continuing to build that self-trust around eating. Because there was a period August, September, going into October where I noticed myself going back to the old habits. I noticed stuff starting to slip. And instead of that, me making that mean, oh, that means I didn't learn anything. That means this thing doesn't work. It was like, no, this thing worked when I was here. And now I need to retrain my system and keep practicing the things so that it works up here. So that's where I am in my healing journey now. And honestly, there's a lot of having to heal from internalized capitalism. There's a lot of internalized healing around what success actually means if it's not showing up in the form of like money or as many clients as I would like right off the bat.
Yeah.
So, and it's also the part of my journey where I want to get better at actually receiving and enjoying because the life I have now is the life that 2021 Kayla with her planner and her big dreams was dreaming about. And some days it's still really hard and I'm not as grateful and happy as I'd like to be. So that's a big part of the journey as well.
Yeah. It is hard. I was just thinking about this morning with my own self. It's like so many of us focus on lack instead of appreciate what we do have. So it's a good message to give. Focus on what you have. Be grateful. And I need to take that to heart too. So what does the future hold for Kayla?
Future holds for Kayla is writing way more books because that's like my number one love. It looks like continuing to podcast, continuing to coach people using this unhinged but like super awesome modality, and just seeing where the rest of life takes me.
I love that. Well, where can we find you?
Best places are I am on Instagram at Embodied Writing Warrior, and then embodiedwritingwarrior.com as well. And if anyone wants to see like the Divine Daddies in action and like how this actually helps a person, they can also go to embodiedwritingwarrior.com/divine daddies. And there's a whole audio listening guide of like 10 podcasts in order that kind of like take them through the journey. There's like scenes in there, like in one of them coming up, Rex, that's the fiery guy, doesn't understand the assignment because I prompted ChatGPT wrong, and instead of spanking my inner drama queen, he spanks the cat. And it's just like ridiculous stuff like that. It's funny, it's ridiculous. It's if someone's bored and has needs to put something on for a road trip, 10 out of 10 would recommend.
Nice. Okay. And I will put all of those links in the show notes. So be sure to check out Kayla's website there and the Divine Daddies. I'm excited to see the Divine Daddies in action. I think that'd be
Yeah.
really fun. Any final thoughts you want to leave us with before we wrap up?
So thank you for having me. This has been so much fun.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here, coming on, talking about your spicy based coaching. It's been really fun.
Yes.
All right, so thanks for hanging out with us on Fine I'll Talk About It. If today's episode got you thinking, hit follow or subscribe so you don't miss what's next. And if you want more real talk, more perspective shifts, and more finally someone said it moments, leave a quick review. It helps other people find the show. And you can connect with me on Instagram at Expired Action Wellness for more conversations like this. See you in the next episode.